Hello, everyone. Welcome back to episode 2 of DOR in 5. Again, I am Omar Lunar, and I am a graduate student in the College Counseling and Student Development Program at Azusa Pacific University, or APU, and currently am a grad assistant for the Office of Accessibility and Disability Resources at APU. In this episode, we will be discussing the next steps after becoming eligible for DOR services, which is the development of your Individualized Plan for Employment, also known as IPE. At this moment, I want to welcome back our guest, Dr. Carmen Varela, the Director of Accessibility and Disability Resources at APU, who will inform us more about Individualized Plan for Employment. Hello, Carmen. Welcome back.
Hey Omar, it's good to be back. Thanks for having me.
It's an honor having you, Carmen. Well, let's get started with the first question for today, Carmen. Can you please tell me what is an individualized plan for employment, IP?
Yeah, so once you're eligible for the Department of Rehabilitation, the next step is to develop your Individualized Plan for Employment or IPE. So the IPE is critical because it's your blueprint to what it is that the Department of Rehabilitation is going to assist you with, but more importantly, it's the blueprint to your employment goal. So, as a student and as a client of the Department of Rehabilitation, it really lays out all the steps, all of your responsibilities as a student in being a client of the Department of Rehab. But it also outlines the Department of Rehabilitation's responsibilities to you as one of their clients or as a client slash student of the Department of Rehabilitation. So for example, every single IPE states what your employment goal is. So if you are going to college to become, let's say, a counselor, a college counselor, right, Omar, I think that's what you're studying. You want to make sure that your IPE reflects college counselor and not grocery clerk or paralegal or something that's not relevant, right? You also want to make sure that in the IPE, it says exactly what they're committed to doing. Like they're going to pay part of your tuition at this amount. They're going to provide you with books and supplies. They're going to pay for your transportation costs. You need some new assistive technology. They're going to provide you with assistive technology. So it's everything that you need to be able to participate in your education. That should all be reflected in your IPE.
Thank you, Carmen. This actually leads to my next question, Carmen. What should be written in the IP?
Mhm. So all those things I just mentioned, Omar, all of those should be written in your IPE, right? And you want them written there very specifically. So for example, like I mentioned, tuition. So if they're going to pay for your entire tuition, which they sometimes can, depending on if there's not another program available near you at a state college, they could possibly pay for the entire portion of your tuition at APU, or they could pay for it at the Cal State rate. And so on there, they'd have to put those exact amounts. Um, they could write in things like, for example, let's say you have an internship and you're going to have costs associated with that. You want to make sure that that's in there. If you drive a car or you take public transportation, are they going to pay for an MTA? Are they going to give you so much money every month so that you can buy an MTA pass? Or are they going to pay you per gallon for the gas that you waste every day to get to school? Do you need a parking pass? They can pay for your parking pass. Again, absolutely anything that would come out of your pocket to be able to attend APU is what should be reflected in your IPE. And technology is an important piece, Omar. I just want to stress because oftentimes students with disabilities need things like word prediction software or a screen reader software or a speech to text software. It just really depends on the student's individualized needs. And those are things the department can provide for you, as well as the training on how to use them, which would be called an assistive technology service.
Thank you. That's very important to know, Carmen, because a lot of our students are not aware of that.
Mhm.
Carmen, can students participate in the writing of their IP?
Oh, that's an excellent question, Omar. I think Oftentimes, the Department of Rehabilitation or other entities aren't used to people wanting to participate in that process. But the Department of Rehabilitation's regulations specifically say that that a student or a client has the ability to write, to be a part of the writing of the IPE. So you can absolutely write portions of it. You can actually revise it if you see that something's wrong. Like, don't hesitate, kind of when your professor revises your paper that you turn in, you're kind of doing the same thing, because, and remember, this is your education, this is your future. So you want to make sure that everything you need is written in that IPE. And if it's not, you need to let the department know that you're asking for a revision and why. And again, it's just you being an equal partner and an equal participant in this process.
Thank you, Carmen. So just to make sure, any changes you want to make, you would clarify with your counselor, correct?
Yes, you would clarify them with your counselor. You would ask them to make that change. If they tell you no, that's something that you want to talk to them about or negotiate. Because if it's, for example, if you need an assistive technology assessment and they're telling you, oh well, we don't have anybody to provide those right now. Well, that's okay if they don't have anybody to provide them, but they can write it in, and then when somebody becomes available, then they can provide it. The commitment is there. It's more difficult to complete a contract or a document. Think of it as a contract between you and the Department of Rehabilitation. It's much more difficult to go back and change the contract once it's been done and signed.
Thank you,
But not
Carmen.
impossible.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Just a few more questions,
Sure.
Carmen. How often is the IP reviewed?
It's reviewed once a year, Omar. So the department has an obligation to make sure that nothing has changed. And if things have changed, then they can adjust accordingly.
Thank you. And our last question of episode 2, Carmen, can the DOR help somebody or help me as a student pay for my education?
Yes. So I think that is one of the biggest benefits. So the Department of Rehabilitation can either pay the entire cost of your education or help you offset the cost. So they typically want you to attend a public school like a CSU or a UC. But that's not always possible when a program isn't available. Or let's say, for example, Omar, let's say that you're blind or you have a mobility impairment that is such that it would be a very big burden on you as a person with a disability, on your health, to have to take, access paratransit for 3 or 4 hours a day just to get to school. Right. So there are instances where the Department of Rehabilitation can pay the entire cost of a private institution such as APU, or they can pay whatever the Cal State rate is and then deduct that from your tuition and fees. And that will at least help you not get into so much debt with student loans. If you get any financial aid, any free money, any non-merit based scholarships, anything through your FAFSA, any kind of free money, again, Pell Grants, Cal Grants, all of that has to go towards the cost of your education to offset the costs to the state that you live in.
Thank you. We have came to the end of our second episode of DOR in 5. I want to thank you again, Carmen, for informing us about DOR and the Individualized Plan for Employment. And also thank you all once again for joining us on episode 2 of DOR in 5. Please stay tuned for episode 3 and see you all next time.
Bye.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Carmen.